all of this stuff, right? And I'll talk about what's actually happened, because I think a lot of people are also just avoiding news at the moment because they're just so overwhelmed with all of this COVID stuff that they're not really seeing what's going on. And there's actual danger in that, because a lot of this stuff is relying on the fact that people aren't paying attention. I have been paying attention. There's been a handful of people that are. And we've been telling you that there's a cult. Tim Pool, actually. Love him or hate him, right? Again, I'm a fucking intelligent person. I can tell the difference between bullshit and not bullshit. But Tim Pool has now just saying it's a cult. And I've been saying that for years. There's a cult. There's a death cult, right? That's taken over. This is true. There's no other word for it. There's no other word for it, and I'm going to show you a video that will. The United States has gone full Evergreen College on us, and it's a fucking cult. And people have been warning you, right? Brett Weinstein warned you. A whole bunch of people who are very smart people have been warning you about this cult and the potential for this to get ugly. And I haven't said cult because it makes you sound like a fucking crazy person. Right? It makes you sound crazy. But the problem with I think that's part of the problem with a lot of this stuff in the last few years, is that because this is where the meaning of words is so important, so that when you use those words, you can actually spot them and name it and define it. And I'm so frustrated watching other people with, obviously much larger channels, much larger followings than me, dancing around this cult idea because they don't want to look crazy, right? They're giving this stuff ideological legitimacy. They're giving this stuff, the only framework that it fits in is a political death cult, okay? Now, at the end of the day, people who are right are usually sound nuts. But I'll tell you right now, if Mark Zuckerberg is replaced as CEO, that'll be a sign that I'm right, okay? So, mark my words. So, anyway, I went off on a fucking tangent. What was I saying? My point was, that the definition of words is important, right? Exactly. And so the Pondering Professor just posted that the redefinition of language is the first step. And that's why I have been, I've been getting better at YouTube just so that I can start to talk about this stuff, right? Which is because it starts there. I've talked about this. It starts when you redefine the words. Now, love him or hate him like anyone else, Jordan Peterson was correct. When you control people's words, you control their thoughts, okay? And when you control their thoughts, this stuff is dangerous stuff. This is cult shit. And anybody who has brushed up against a cult or obsessed with cults or understands how they work intricately like I do, or reads a book about fucking cults, or even fucking goes on Wikipedia. Actually, you know what? Let's do that. Hang on, I wasn't going to do this, but I'm going to fucking show you, okay? Lifton's thought reform, okay? It's there. It is a playbook, and it has been happening for years, and I've been trying not to fucking say it because I know it makes you look crazy. But the reason that they make it's part of the strategy to make people like me look bad and sound crazy so they get away with the shit that they're doing. And this is all unfolding, okay? It's all unfolding precisely as I predicted. Now, okay, I didn't think it would be this quick. I didn't think it would be this immediate, right? That's where I'm behind. About 10 days ago, I wrote an article that started, I've been sitting, laying low, doing videos, right, under the radar, forming thoughts, observing, dancing around the issue. And then last week, or probably about 2 weeks ago now, I wrote a blog post that sort of teased the left into the idea that there might be a cult on our side that needs to be looked at, okay? Now, I had a plan, which was that I was going to build on that. Unfortunately, it all just fucking, and now I have to like just sound like a fucking nut job. Fucking hell. But this is legit, okay? All right, let me show you something, all right? Actually, no, we'll do what I was going to do, which is I'm going to share the sheen first. Share the screen. Lifton's thought reform, okay? Thought reform and the psychology of totalism, which is totalitarianism, which is what I'm talking about, okay? History, learn it now, immediately. Start to understand history because this is what's happening. And you can sit around going la, 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 la and whack a fucking another rainbow on your branding and have all these fucking diversion committees and start. But that's what this is. It is a cult. It's a reality denying, science denying, capitalist, anti-capitalist, fucking chaotic death cult. And I don't care if I sound crazy anymore because shit is getting real. All right? Now, I will address Antifa, the word Antifa, and I will address like anarchist, and I'll clarify those terms just so that we're clear. Trump's wrong on those definitions, okay? They're not correct. The problem is that there are two parallel narratives running at once, and I am watching both of them, and they're both true and both wrong in different ways, and this is why it's so important that people read different shit now. Okay, please, if you hate Tim Pool, listen to Tim Pool. If you hate Jordan Peterson, listen to him. If you hate Andy No, listen to Andy No. If you hate Wokes, you know, and you hate The Guardian, and you hate the fucking ABC, and you hate all this tribal stuff, it is absolutely critical right now that you know that there are two absolutely different narratives going on. They are both true and both correct and both incorrect at the same time. Okay, and that's how you get to the truth. Right? Please tell me, I'm probably going to get ranty and the gain's quite up a bit on the microphone because, well, yeah, okay, yes. Go, like how, do you know what amazes me about this whole fucking thing is how everyone is talking about Hitler. Everyone is talking about Nazis. Everyone is talking about this and they have no fucking idea that it's happening in plain sight. And it's not Trump. They're using, this is big lie playbook, right? In the gender wars, right? The idea of the big lie, you tell a lie so audacious, right, that people believe it. Like, men can be women, okay? That is audacious. It is wrong, okay? This is what we're seeing, okay? It's all linked. And again, when I say it's all linked, I sound fucking crazy. I hear myself. I'm having a sip of coffee and I have my Children of the Vault coffee mug, which for those who don't know, Borderlands 3, these are cult leaders in the game who basically weaponize all the dumb people to fucking try and get access to power. Ooh, what a shock. Okay. They're YouTubers. Okay, anyway. So, thought reform. Okay, let's look here. Let's look at these requirements. Milieu control. This involves the control of information and communication both within the environment and ultimately within the individual, resulting in a significant degree of isolation from society at large. Okay? How many people block lists? Okay? I've been trying to warn my fucking woke friends, but they all use block lists, of which I'm on, because if you disagree with them or challenge them, they block you. Okay? Now, this is the one that's interesting. Mystical manipulation. The manipulation of experiences that appears spontaneous but is in fact planned and orchestrated by the group or its leaders in order to demonstrate divine authority. This is critical theory in a fucking nutshell. Okay? So let's try that again. The manipulation of experiences that appears spontaneous but is in fact planned and orchestrated by the group or its leaders in order to demonstrate divine authority, spiritual advancement, or some exceptional talent or insight that sets the leader and or group apart from humanity. And that allows reinterpretation of historical events, scripture, and other experiences. Wokeness! Rewriting history. I am more enlightened than you. I understand these things. I am woke. That's mystical manipulation. Okay? They can't pinpoint any of this stuff with anything material. They just know better than us. They know better than scientists, historians, political scientists, everyone else, and they have some divine fucking insight. No, they're in a cult. Okay, now, demand for purity. The world is viewed as black and white, and the members are constantly exhorted to conform to the ideology of the group and strive for perfection. You want to talk about what happened to Waleed? Okay, you're never woke enough. Cancelling their own, the left eats its own, all of those sorts of things that come from the right. Okay, there is no confidentiality, and that works because people are confessing their privilege, and the second that you fucking fall afoul of the group, they turn on you. Okay? There's no confidentiality. Members' sins. Let's talk about the original sin of whiteness, shall we? Okay? So our sins and our attitudes and our faults are discussed and exploited by the leaders. Okay? 5. Here's a doozy. Sacred science. The group's doctrine or ideology is considered to be the ultimate truth beyond all questioning or dispute. My camera's in front of my screen, so if I read it wrong, it's, Truth is not to be found outside the group. You just wouldn't understand. I'm not going to do the emotional labour. Educate yourself. I don't need to argue because I understand that this is a fact. And you're just ignorant and racist and fascist and transphobic and all of these things. May as well just start rocking up and back and forth, right? They may as well just start speaking in tongues at this point. Okay? There is no wrong bit. The leader, as the spokesperson for God or for all humanity, is likewise above criticism. Now that's the thing that has actually tripped me up for the last year when I've said that this is a cult, a legitimate fucking cult. I don't like being right on this, which is that there's no real leader. It's becoming clear to me that this is organised global effort with a view to attempting to overthrow the government, okay? Attempting to overthrow, anyway, I'll get to that. Loading the language. The group interprets or uses words and phrases in new ways so that often the outside world does not understand. Hate, transphobia, bigot. They work in memes. Karen. It's all symbology for these people, right? The jargon consists of thought-terminating cliches. TERF. Okay? Nazi. They use all these things on purpose. They're all thought-terminating things that get you to stop thinking and react and they take you out of your brain into your emotions, right? Out of your logic into your emotions, right? Being called racist, I'm fucking used to it by now, but being called these names usually for your average person who wants social acceptance, right? Cisgender, fucking great example, right? Cisgender, a new fucking word. No, like this is what I'm talking about. And this, like, I've sat there and I've just been seeing these parts, and my spidey senses. One thing about me is that my instincts and intuition are usually pretty fucking spot on. And I couldn't put an intellectual framework around it. This is a totalitarian cult, political cult that is trying to overthrow. They think they're bringing the revolution. That they can destroy everything so that they can rebuild it in the world that they want. Okay, it's fucking terrifying. And you don't have to take me seriously. Good luck. Okay. Now, so loading the language. So the jargon consists of thought-terminating cliches, which serve to alter members' thought processes to conform to the group's way of thinking. Hate speech. Twitter's been captured. I've been talking about this. Twitter's captured by these people. Hate. What does hate mean? We know what that means. It's an emotionally charged thing, right? If someone is accused of hate speech, that must be actually, like, bad, right? Loading the language. Doctrine over person. Okay, let's move on to number 7, doctrine over person. Members' personal experiences are subordinated to the sacred science. Men can be women and gender is real and there are 300 genders, and my experience and feelings and thoughts negates all data that ever existed, because all of that stuff, the entire body of fucking Western fucking existence is all based on white supremacy. What a load of shit. Okay, this is a load of shit, and that's why I will fight this stuff. This is dangerous, okay? Any doctrine over person. Members okay, here we go. Have you seen the hair color changing? I know it sounds silly, and I know we joke about the blue hair brigade, but what you're seeing is a gradual loss of individual autonomy. Right? They have a uniform. Okay? Seriously, they have a uniform. And if you can't spot by now, right, that there's a certain look, it's also a certain facial expression, right? And if you look very carefully, if you want to see if your child is in a cult, look at them. Are they speaking like a robot? Are they speaking like teenagers do that anyway. They don't really have their own, they're not developing their own thoughts. A lot of the time they're parroting sort of other stuff, right? But there's a certain robotic glaze that goes over somebody who has been captured. And it might be, if they're sort of just parroting, that's transphobic, blah, 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 that's diversity and inclusion, blah, blah, blah. It's almost robotic, right? That's doctrine over person, right? Members' personal experiences are so you can't whoa, here we go. Also, this idea, okay, I'm trying to think of a good example because I wasn't planning on covering this, but I think I have to in order to give context before I show you the fucking video that I'm going to show you, right? Now, so doctrine over person, it means that your personal experiences, personal insights don't matter when it comes, and if you do have a contrary experience, right, you ain't black, okay, or you're not gay, or if you're this is an interesting one with the trans stuff, right, which is that you've got actual transsexuals, actual trans people who are saying, I don't believe in this ideology, and then they turn around and call them true scum, and they are TERFs, and they aren't the right kind of trans, okay? That's cult thinking. That's what doctrine over person is, which is, even though it's like, well, you go, okay, well, I'm a trans person and I don't agree, and it's like, well, you either comply with what we say or you aren't part of the group. It's that kind of thing, right? So any contrary experiences must be denied or reinterpreted, right, to fit the ideology of the group. And the true scum actually is a very good example of that. So now the trans medicalists or true scum people, who are the vast majority of trans people, right? This transgender people thing is not what it seems. But so you must agree that all of these things are true, or you're not part of the group. Dispensing of existence. The group has the prerogative to decide who has the right to exist and who does not. This is usually not literal, but means that those in the outside world are not saved, unenlightened, I've got to get rid of my whiteness, right? Unconscious, and they must be converted to the group's ideology. If they do not join the group or are critical of the group, then they must be rejected by the members. Do you know, I've actually lost a substantial amount of friends over this. People, it's just beggars belief. I'm thinking of one particular, it's just a Twitter friend, but someone who's been a Twitter friend for a long time. And I get a message, and it happens every so often. It happened the other day as well, right? And I'm just so worried, and all I just want to do, I just want to make sure that people work through this, right? Is what will happen is I'll just be going about my day critiquing this thing. And I'll just go about my day being Taya, right? Being right, but being a bit of a shit stirrer at the same time. And I'll get a DM or I'll get an email or I'll get a message and it says, why do you follow Glenna? And I'll go, because I follow who the fuck I want to, is my fucking first thought. But I'm nicer than that. And I go, well, because I think that in amongst a lot of the, I don't necessarily agree with his approach, but I think that what he's got to say is interesting. And also, I follow everybody. I follow lots of people that I disagree with. I follow Andy No. I follow I follow everyone because again, this parallel narrative thing, it is so important to make sure that you stay aware of all of the information, right? Anyway, I'll get a message and why do you follow Glyn? Okay, I agree with that. Oh, is that you, Alaric? Pondering Professor. Sorry, I didn't join the dots. Welcome. Holy shit, you're a smart boy. I like you. Okay. But this is what I'm saying is I follow Alaric. I don't agree with everything he says about feminism. I don't agree, but we talk about it, right? That's one of those things. So, but it's important that we are able to have that conversation. And the problem with this cult is that it doesn't allow the conversation to even occur because it's a cult and they have doctrine over person and all of this sort of stuff, right? Okay. Their sacred science, their Bible, Judith Butler, Robin DiAngelo, Bell Hooks, but it's probably not Bell Hooks, but, a number of, seriously, one thing you want to do, and please don't do this if you are not of strong mind, okay? Please don't do this unless you are of strong mind, which is to go and read Dianetics and then go and read Judith Butler and then read Robin DiAngelo. And it is fucking chilling how similar they are, right? Not long ago, I posted a quote from Dianetics and it was basically like, nobody can impose their data on you. Your identity is fact, right? That's basically the gist of Dianetics. It's chilling, right? The similarities. And I've sat there and I'm like, I don't want to say this, Taya. Don't say it, Taya. It's going to destroy your career. People are going to think you're crazy. People already think you're crazy. What the fuck? What the fuck? And I'm sitting there going, there's a cult, and I've alluded to it and said it outright a few times. And it's just like all signs point to that. So anyway, dispensing of existence. So the group has the prerogative to decide who has the right to exist and who does not. This is usually not literal. What I find funny, and this is another thing, right, which is a lot of these cults, they deflect. So what they do is usually what I've observed lately, especially with the trans movement and all of the sort of the puppets, the happy puppets of all these people, is that they will deflect because I think they know that a few of us are onto them, right? They will then turn around and call you a cult, right? And then they will put out articles saying that that their opponents are what they are, right? That's one of the things that they've been doing. And one of those things is you are challenging my right to exist. Nah. Okay. Again, this is that projection. So these are people that are whoever is in charge of this. Now that's always been the question, is who the leaders are. I think it's actually a decentralized, extremely well funded. I'll give you that, extremely well funded and extremely well. If you know the theory, you know the strategy, you know history and how it unfolds, and you know political tactics. And you understand military tactics and all that stuff, which most people really don't, unless you sort of... I can't help but think that it's not a coincidence that this is a movement when most people who have lived through World War II are gone. It seems strange because I think that anybody who's lived through that, who lived through that or is aware of these things, sees it for what it is. It's playbook. It's absolute playbook. So anyway, let's get through the theory. So this is usually not literal, but that means those in the outside world are not saved, unenlightened, unconscious, and they must be converted to the group's ideology. If they do not join the group or are critical of the group, then they must be rejected by the members. Now, you may have seen that I was questioning the black box on Instagram. And also this meme that went around, and this is the thing that I found very, very chilling. right? Okay. Anyway, so thus, the outside world loses all credibility. In conjunction, should any member leave the group, he or she must be rejected also. Now, that's fucking suppressive person, fair game stuff. I've talked about this before, right? We won't bang on too much about that. I wasn't planning on talking about that, so we'll just, whatever. But now, the thing that you may have seen me being very I saw a meme go around. I should probably find it for you, but I can't be fucked because I like to prepare. You know how I am. But it was basically that merely being not racist is not enough. You must say that you are anti-racist. Now, people, there's nothing wrong with that's a thought terminating meme. Okay, that is it's by design, right? Because it forces you to use their language and their terminology, which is anti-racist, right? For all the fucking people that are talking about dog whistles, they're the dogs, man. It's fucking ridiculous. So again, projection. Children of the Vault, Borderlands 3. If you like games, play it. You might learn a thing or two. What was I going to say? Forgot. What was I saying? Yeah. So it's basically, if you, it's not enough to just not be racist, which I'm not. I'm on record as not. My character, I have nothing, absolutely nothing to say. I've done blackface a lot less than Justin Trudeau, okay, which is 0 times. I have worked in the field as a child protection worker, okay, and I did a big thread about that the other day, where I am just so astonished that people would use the plight of Aboriginal people in this country to virtue signal their cult. Like it just incensed me. Right? Because I've actually been on the ground and I still have trauma from that fucking time, and I will never, ever recover from seeing what I saw. And so for someone to turn around and call me racist from their fucking, share button on Facebook in their nice little office, fuck you. But I'm not using cult language. So that anti-racist, right? It's not true. Okay? Anti-racist is a call to action for people to, much like the fucking COVID app. You remember that? Remember the COVID? Remember that thing? When the Prime Minister basically encouraged people to bully people to install the app. Anti-racist implies an action, which is that you need to act. Okay? And no, you don't. Okay? You need to just not be racist and not condone violence, and it's okay to not be violent. So... Pondering Professor says, don't say horrible things about dogs. It's very triggering. Do you know what's very triggering? Is me talking about language with a fucking professor of linguistics sitting in my stream watching me, because I know that I'm going to fuck up. I don't know everything. I only know political science and digital fucking stuff and persuasion. I don't know the details of language. I just know how the mechanisms in which you use it and manipulate it to persuade people. That's it. Okay. Anyway, so what was I going to say? Can't remember. Anyway, let's talk about definitions. Maybe we'll just talk about definitions. But I think it's important for you to keep those 8 points in your mind. Let me show you something, right? Let me just show you a quick video.
Racism, anti-blackness, or violence.
Racism, anti-blackness, or violence.
I will use my voice in the most uplifting way possible.
I will use my voice in the most uplifting way possible.
And do everything in my power to educate my community.
And do everything in my power to educate my community.
I will love my black neighbors the same as my white ones.
I will love my black neighbors the same as my white ones.
Not a cult. If you observe the behaviour online, you'll see, right? Yeah. See?